So today, if you want to just jump to the next
sorry.
slide. No, all good. So welcome to the webinar, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again. Today I am joined by David Winbanks, our lead product manager, and basically lead with UC Xpress and everything on that side of things.
G'day, everyone.
So we'll be running through, there's been a lot of updates to UC Xpress over the past 2 or 3 months, really.
Yep.
So we'll be running through a lot of those and what's changed there and the new features that are coming on our roadmap as well. And we'll give you a bit of a chance to provide your feedback around, we have a few things that we are working on. However, we'll give you a bit of a chance to provide your feedback around that and your organization around that as well. So today we'll be running through those updates, what they look like, things like that. We'll run through some demos of those updates, so give you a chance, so you can actually see what they look like and ask questions, anything like that along the way as well. And then, because it is end of financial year, we do usually end it with some trivia. So for those of you who have joined us previously for one of our trivia, great. It's roughly about 20 questions. Some are Access 4 focused, most of them are not. So it gives anyone a bit of a chance to jump in and have a chance. And we got some prizes to run with for those as well. So great fun, jump in, everyone has a chance to win, and you'll get some prizes depending on your place. So first, second, and last always win a prize. But I will just quickly, for those who do wish to participate in the trivia, as well as in our feedback around our future roadmap and things like that, we are using Slido for this today. So jump in, there's the access code and the URL or QR code. And from there, as we go, you'll be able to put in some feedback around a few suggestions and the trivia at the end as well. These will show up again later as we jump through what we are throughout the day as well, throughout this morning session. However, I'll hand back over to David and let him jump through some of our recent updates around UC Xpress and what we've had going on there.
Thanks, Mitch. G'day, everyone. Welcome to Access Tech. So really good to be here today and go through some of the most recent updates. We've been running some pretty quick sort of fast follow items after launch. And we kind of had a session at Access Tech's late last year in December, and we ran through all the things that we released in that time period. And since then, we've been running some further development. And so based on some fast follow items, but also from feedback, UAT feedback from partners who are out there and selling UC Xpress at the moment and some of their customers. So really wanted to take you through those. We'll go through pretty quickly, and then I'll go through a demo. If you do want something demoed that I don't, then just drop in the chat and I'll get that demoed for you.
Yep. So we'll be watching both the Q&A. So if you have any questions or anything from that perspective you want us to look into, anything like that, throw in the Q&A, and David and I will answer that at the end. But if there's anything you want us to, so any demos, anything you want us to look at, anything like that, sort of throw into the Q&A section of the Zoom.
Brilliant. So I'll give you a bit of a rundown. So each development period we call sprints, and we have been naming those sprints in alphabetical order, and they usually follow a theme. So I think this theme was a comic theme, and so you'll see some of those names, but they go in alphabetical order. So starting at Nebula, we've delivered most of these sprints except the last one. And some of these items are still in QA, so they'll be marked as either shipped, meaning they're in production, or if they're delivered to QA, there's still testing that we're doing before we release them out to you guys. So, to start off, we had some feedback around call forward busy and call waiting controls in SaaSboss, so we improved those. So when you activate call forward busy now, it deactivates call waiting. If you don't have call forward busy active, then you can control call waiting from any of the devices that you're using. And then we had some improvements to call forwards. So we did notice that in some cases, there were some devices that weren't picking up the call forward information. So we improved that by including some simmering information into those call forwards, and that shipped. We also had some feedback around holiday schedules. So we provide holiday schedules in state-based holidays, but also national holidays as well. And we automatically configure those and push them out for each group in SaaSBOSS. When we did that for UC Xpress, they were available and visible in IVRs to set the holiday schedules, but they weren't showing up in schedule call forwards. So we've now exposed those holiday schedules in the schedule call forward. So you can select from those without having to recreate them, which is a good improvement. We also made some improvements to queues. So the call queue maximum queue limit we had exposed already, but we didn't have a forward destination when that queue limit was hit. Now we've exposed that forward destination, so you'll see that come up in the queue settings when you select a queue limit. And we'll go through that in the demo as well. The defaults for endpoint creation to forward to voicemail. So we were seeing some internal calls weren't forwarding to voicemail when there was no forward already set. So external calls were forwarding to voicemail if it was enabled, but internal calls weren't. So we've to get around that created all of those call forwards by default. So whenever a user is created, there's email is enabled by default, and call forward busy and no answer go to voicemail. So to ensure that we pick those up. And we also exposed some improvements for IVRs. So we had some feedback from partners that they wanted to control what happened when there was an incorrect response detected or no response detected on the IVR. So they are now available, and we'll go through those in the demo. And then we had another item, which was to finish off or to continue some of the phases around the 3CX to UC Xpress migration tool. So that tool basically enables you to take a backup from 3CX and make it available for UC Xpress, so that you don't have to recreate that whole customer. So it'll create the ring groups, the queues, the users, the schedules, etc. And so that saves a lot of time if you're moving customers across. And that is delivered to QA, so it's not yet shipped. The next sprint, we had some improvements to Polycom handsets, some device overrides for daylight savings time. So we were finding that the Polycom handsets weren't respecting the daylight savings time, so we had to push some device overrides. So they happen now by default with Polycom devices, and then the handset will show up in daylight savings time if you're in daylight savings time or impacted. So we've made some improvements for the display of for service pack creation. So previously you weren't seeing the margin when you created those service pack retail pricing. So we've made that available now. And then the queue, some more queue improvements. So the queue require agents toggle is now exposed for queues. So you can, if you do require agents, and there are no agents detected, it will forward directly to the forward settings without playing in any of the intros. We also had some feedback around announcement only voicemail. So we've made that available now. It's shipped. So it's via a feature access code. So if you want to forward to voicemail without the ability to leave a voicemail deposit, then you use one feature access code. If you want to forward and leave a voicemail deposit, you use the *55. So that is now available and shipped. The managed device link error, it was a bit of a tidy up. So at the moment, if prior to this, when you hit the managed device link and you didn't have any devices, it basically opened another tab and showed you exactly the same information that you were on before. So the customer settings, we've improved that now, so it doesn't open a tab and it just tells you to add some devices before you can try and manage those. So it's a bit of a tidy up. We also expose distinctive ring for call queues. So you're able to set from different ring tones or ring types in the call queues. And later on, you'll see it also exposed that for external calls, distinctive ring, and also for call park ring back. The other thing that we did, and I know this has been a bit of a bugbear for a lot of customers and partners, is that with the line appearance label, by default, there is the extension number underscore a unique ID. We've put in some device overrides now for all of the popular models, so that underscore unique ID is basically commented out, and you just see the extension only for those devices. And we're continuing that in a later sprint. We will provide not only an option to expose just the extension number, but you can choose from the DID number or the first name, last name of the user of that number as well. And we also have in test at the moment the option to enable and disable voicemail PIN for devices. So by default for physical devices, when you click the voicemail button, it just lets you into the voicemail portal. This will optionally add the PIN, so you'd have to enter a PIN number, which is available in SaaSPOS. So that is in testing at the moment and will be released shortly.
Just before you move on, Dave,
Yeah.
I just want to so just some information I want to gather. For those of you who don't know what QA is, do you just want to explain what that what delivered to QA actually means?
Yeah,
within our
absolutely.
product
So
set?
it goes to our quality assurance team. Sometimes that's the product team, sometimes that's the engineering team. We do have some dedicated QAs as well. But what we do is we basically test the feature that we've released and make sure that it meets the requirements that we set out for the developers to develop. So we do a lot of testing to make sure that it didn't introduce any new bugs. So we do a little bit of regression testing as well. But basically it's just a testing phase. And that provides, some features are pretty small, and we're pretty certain that there won't be any impact to live services. So we would release those straight to shipped. But others we a little bit more complex, so we deliver them to QA and then we schedule them to be released when all of the QA is done. So yeah, we have that QA stage. I guess post-shipped, we also do testing in production, and we also have UAT. So the ability for partners and other customers to provide feedback, and if there's anything that we missed or could be improved, we provide that as UAT feedback into the developers to improve. So in any of those cycles, it could result in some improvements coming back to the development team to improve those things.
Yeah, so it's not just we ship it and hope it works. We are testing it internally first, making sure it is doing what we need it to do, whether that's from someone from Dave's team or our product team, or it is a dedicated QA resource who is automating a lot of that and making sure it's doing from that side, as well as making sure it's not breaking anything else in the system, things like that as well. But if you do have any feedback around any of these feature releases, anything like that, please do reach out, whether it's to myself, one of the solution consultants, to your account manager, anyone from Access4. We'd love to get that feedback, and we pass it on from all the feedback that we get from that perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. And it's something we really enjoy, the engagement that we have with partners and the basically the partnership that we have with you guys. So you're at the call face, and you have lots of feedback for us, so we take those quite seriously, and we do the best we can to get anything fixed that comes up. So the other things that we've been working on is a quick access menu for the UC Xpress desktop and mobile app. So I'll show you that in a bit. But originally, when you clicked on the features link inside the app, it took you to SaaSboss, and you had to kind of navigate all of the settings via the usual sort of desktop SaaSboss experience. We've now created a quick access menu, which is much better for desktop and mobile apps to quickly access some of those most popular features. It released distinctive ring for external and core park ringback. And also speed dial lists are in testing. So speed dial lists, there's basically two. There's one for each user, which is speed dial 8, which you'd be familiar with SaaSboss and Broadworks. And then there's a shared speed dial list, which is up to 100 entries, but it's shared across the customer. So I'll show you those in the demo as well. And then we added a warning for the UDP TCP change for UC Xpress, because in UC Xpress it does initiate a port change. So UDP and TCP are using different ports. And so we wanted to make that clear when you initiate that change that you understand that, so there's not an outage, etc. And then we added a menu item for the shared contact list at the group level for UC Xpress. So previously that was at the customer level and accessed by partners. It's now available for end customers or end customer group administrators to access that shared contact list. And part of the quick access menu is the ability for end users to add a shared contact into that contact list as well. They can't edit or delete it, but they can add a new one if they need to. But the group admin has access to basically modify and delete as well. And then we created some feature access code to enable and disable all night switches. So previously we had a feature access code for night switches, but we had a customer that wanted to particularly turn off all night switches or enable all night switches all at once. So we created some feature access codes for that, but we also exposed it in the quick access menu, which is really handy. So I'll take you through that. Then we moved on to Quicksilver. So we had some fixes for agent changes to UC Xpress. So that's now in QA. So when you make a change to the queue, it basically logs all of the agents back into the queue. What this change does is any changes that you make, it would preserve the current agent status. So if you were logged out of a queue, you would stay logged out when you make any changes to that queue. So it makes sense. And that one's in QA, and we'd like to get that shipped out shortly. We also hid the DID number for paging groups. Basically, it's a very infrequently used feature. With Broadworks, we provide some protections around who can dial that number. With UC Xpress, we haven't built those protections in yet, so we've just hidden the DID number, so you can't basically dial a paging group or initiate a page from outside the organization, which, as I said, is not very often used. We have done a big job, which is to build an announcement repository for UC Xpress. So that's in QA at the moment. It looks really good. So it's what you're used to with Broadworks, where if you have an announcement that's not being used by a feature, it can sit in the library for you to pull into any of the features that use announcements, so call queues and even message bank, etc. So that is in QA at the moment. It was quite a big job. It's not native to the platform, so we had to recreate that in SaaSboss. And because it touches on many different features, we have to do lots of QA for that. So that one's in QA. And we have two other features that have just hit QA as well. So that's inbound numbers, so 1300, 1800 numbers. So that's shipped to QA. We've also enabled in our lab international toll-free, including inbound numbers for New Zealand. So we'll be doing all of that testing and release what we can as soon as possible. And then we have extended the CLI selection for professional users. So if you're on the professional plan and you're a user within there, you can now select the your CLI or change your outbound CLI very easily in the quick access menu. And instead of just choosing between the group policy or the group number or your own DID number, we've exposed also the any number that's associated with a call queue, a ring group, or an IVR, so that if you're an agent of multiple queues and you're making calls out and you want to represent one particular queue, you can change your CLI to that quite easily, and then change it to a different queue when you're calling out representing that queue. So that's only available on the professional plan, where that sort of high-end sort of call center features are available. And last but not least, we've just kicked off this week the Spider-Man sprint. So in there, we are doing some changes to speech to text. So I know that's been quite popular among partners. We did get it out as quickly as possible, and it didn't include the ability to edit your text-to-speech announcement after you created it. What we've done now, because we have the announcement repository, we can actually save that text that you use to create that announcement. We will save that in the repository as well, and then you'll be able to access that text and modify it and save a new announcement, etc. So that's work that's happening this sprint, as well as some improvements to SRTP, which is sort of securing the voice media from mobile apps in particular. So that's what's planned for this current sprint, and it's going on as we speak. So before I get into the what's happening in the future, I'll take you through and demo some of those bits and pieces. So the first thing that I will show you is some of the changes to IVRs. So for IVRs, we expose some options. So for each business hour menu or after hours or holiday menu, you now have these options. So if no key is pressed, you can either repeat the prompt or exit or follow another IVR action. So in this case, I will say, if no key is pressed, follow 5, and if an unassigned key is pressed, follow 0. And you'll notice that I have an option in 0 already, which is good, and I don't have one in 5. So if I wanted to submit that, it will then show me an error because I'm asking the IVR to follow 5, but there's nothing set for option 5. So these are some of the things that we have to go through in testing to make sure all of those errors work. So not only happy day scenario where everything works as planned, but all the things that you could do to break it, we kind of try and test all those things as well. So that is the IVRs for no key or incorrect key. By default, it was basically just repeating the prompt. So now you have the option to change that if you wish. So all of the existing IVRs will just show as repeat the prompt. So that is the developments we did around IVRs. I'll go into queues now. So if we grab a call queue, what we have done is the require agents in queue toggle. So you can basically require agents yes or no. And then if you set the maximum queue length, we also provide a destination. So if in the rollover here, you'll see some tips. So entering a limit on the number of calls, the system keeps on hold waiting for an available agent. So if you enter 0, it basically makes the queue length unlimited. We say unlimited, but it is governed by the amount of simultaneous calls available across the system. But yeah, for this purpose, we say it's unlimited. So because
I would recommend putting in that limit because you are based on that simultaneous call limit, and anything above that, if they are hitting that simultaneous call limit, they're going to get a busy tone. So we would recommend putting in some sort of limit and sending them to voicemail or sending them somewhere. So at least it's there still being answered. However, it may not be by an agent from that perspective. So giving that inbound caller some sort of representation of the business rather than just hearing a busy tone is probably going to be a better example of that from that situation. So would still recommend putting in place that queue length when it is required. Also on that, if you do need, you still get, if they do have a higher queue length, we still have that feature available on our BroadSoft platform as well. So if you do have a customer who has needs a really high queue length, the BroadSoft platform is still there for that one as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mitch. And this is the destination, basically, as I described, this is the destination. If the queue length is exceeded, you can put in a extension number or a full DID. So I think that was most of the features for queues. You can see here that this is where you can enable a night switch or basically allow the night switch option, and then I'll take you through what it looks like in the quick access queue later to have a look at enabling and disabling night switch via the UC Xpress app. So I'll just I'll go into an endpoint now. So in the endpoint, I think it's under admin. It's under outgoing call features. So you've got your speed dial 8 list, which you'd be familiar with Broadworks. This one's in test at the moment, but you basically can have codes from 2 to 9, and you can enter a phone number and a description. And so when you press 3 and you wait the specified time, it'll dial the number that's associated with that. So that is speed dial 8. At a customer level, we have available a shared speed dial list. Sorry, it's at a group level. So it is shared across all of the customers. So each group has access to the same list of shared speed dials. So here is where you basically can add multiple entries. You can upload a list, but yes, usually a 2-digit code, the phone number and description. So when you hit that 2-digit code, it basically goes and dials the number that's associated with it. So it's a speed dial, but at a customer-wide level, and that you can have up to 100 entries there. So similar to speed dial 100 in Broadworks, but this one is called something different because it's not at a service level, it's at a customer level. So we call it shared speed dial list. I think that's most of the things that I want to take you through as far as the demo in SaaSboss, but I will take you through the desktop app. So this is the UC Xpress desktop app. You're familiar with all of the settings there. There's this new, the features link has always been there, but it basically now displays this quick access menu by default, which is nice and handy and a better user experience. So we had UAT feedback that people wanted to access these things, quickly turn on do not disturb or call forwarding or, update their CLI and turn on or off night switch. So these are the quick access features that we've made available, nice and easy to access and just enable within a couple of clicks. And we still have all of the regular SaaSboss menu available if you wanted to go in and get into more detailed features. And we also have the supervisor analytics there if you're a supervisor. And this is also a link which we talked about, which was adding the shared contact. So if you're an end user and you just wanted to quickly add a shared contact, you can do that, and that will go into the shared contact directory across the whole customer. So yeah, a good, really good UAT sort of feedback, and we were able to get this quick access menu launched pretty quickly, and we've had some really good feedback from people who are using it. Especially handy is the night switch. So if you are using sort of that manual night switch, having it available on your mobile phone, forget to, you go leave the office, you lock up, set the alarm, you're out towards the car, and you think, oh, I didn't turn night switch on. You can quickly open the desktop app and hit a particular queue or all queues, and enable night switch for those immediately within a couple of clicks, so you don't have to go back to your desk phone and all that kind of stuff. So really good feedback around that one. And yeah, that's probably it for the demos today, unless there's anything else that you'd like to see that I didn't cover.
No, I think that covers off most of the main points that we've run through. Once again, a lot of that feedback did come from our partners and customers. So around what they wanted to get out of the system, features that they thought were missing, things like that. So we do really appreciate getting that feedback from everyone. And especially around that quick access menu, that is a really nice feature that we were able to implement that gave people access to do a lot more in the system in a very easy way for the end customer or the end users. So with that, if people do want more functionality in there, if there's something you think the customer's asking for or that can be easier for them to access that way, do let us know. We do want to get feedback around that as well and see what else we can add in there. Sure, it may take us a few sprints. As you can see, we do run 2-week sprints, so it can take us a bit of time to get something into our dev team and then through QA and make sure it works and everything like that. But we do love getting that feedback for any additional functionality that people would love to see in that as well.
Yeah, great. Great comments, Mitch. Definitely, this is a new product that we had to market. It's pretty comprehensive, but there's always little things that we can improve. We know that. And we do appreciate the feedback that we get from you as partners, but also your end customers. And we do try to move pretty quickly to fill any gaps that you see in the product. So yeah, really the product is targeting so people with on-premise phone systems. There are still a lot of them out there. Most of those are end of support, and most of the really popular vendors have kind of exited the market and didn't really have a cloud PBX option for them. So that is probably key area number one for UC Xpress. The other area is sort of the 3CX is kind of a popular alternative to on-premise phone systems, and we think we now have a very comprehensive phone product that competes well with 3CX. It's based on a per simultaneous call model similar to 3CX, but it's also something that people with end-of-life on-premise PBXs, they're used to sort of paying for the SIP trunks or simultaneous calls. They've kind of got sunk cost in their investment in the PBX over 10 years or more. And for them to go to a per user per month model is sometimes a big leap. So this kind of intermediate area, which provides quite a comprehensive PBX on a per simultaneous call model, really hits that market. And we know that simultaneous call models are really good with people who have needs for lots of end customer endpoints, but they don't use the phone that often. So schools, hotels, care facilities, nursing homes, etc., are all prime sort of targets for UC Xpress. But yeah, medical practices, general service, retail, etc. It's kind of diverse kind of opportunity.
Definitely, we're seeing it kind of everywhere at this stage.
Yeah.
With that being said, what we're actually working on next and some of the feature set that we think are coming, we're being asked for from our partners, and what we're currently working on next from that perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. So yeah, voicemail transcription. So the ability to see voicemail in text so you don't have to listen to it. And that can be provided in the UC Xpress desktop app. The bulk change tools in SaaS Boss, so extended for UC Xpress. So We do have the advantage of SaaS Boss being able to make changes across multiple endpoints all at once, or multiple IVRs or multiple ring groups. So those bulk change tools are something that we'd like to introduce for UC Xpress. We have audio conference bridge is also something that's in the roadmap coming up. And then extending the line key device overrides to allow for not just the extension number without the unique ID, but a choice between extension number, the DID number, or the name. And then SMS into UC Xpress client. So at the moment, the SMS gateway is available, whether you're on a Broadworks platform or UC Xpress. However, to integrate SMS as a sort of quick SMS, almost like a chat, but via SMS, into the UC Xpress desktop and mobile app is something that we are looking at as well. We'd like to extend that not just for UC Xpress, but into WebEx and Teams as well. And then simultaneous ring, so for off-net devices. So basically it's like mobile twinning, where you can put in your mobile number and have that ring whenever your desk phone rings. We hadn't prioritized that one previously just because the UC Xpress desktop app is available. And it's free of charge, so most people use that if they wanted their mobile to ring at the same time. However, it is probably a handy little feature that we'd like to release, and it's kind of in a lot of phone systems out there, so we'd like to sort of get that one out as well. But we can see already there's some votes coming in. So yes, use your Slido to vote on any of those that you see as a priority. And that will obviously, we'll take that into account when we're looking at the roadmap and try and get the ones with the highest feedback out to you as a quicker, sooner rather than later. Yeah,
definitely. I know the bulk change tools was something that we discussed previously. It was something that's coming out with, it kind of got worked on when we were working on the 3CX to UC Xpress migration tool. And it's one of those things of, is it something that's going to be a big changer? Are people using it a lot or not really? So it's good to see that it is one of the higher things that people are requesting. So it's definitely something that people do look like they're looking for.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'll leave that keep going for another minute or so. I do see we do have one question which has come through the chat, which is the UC Xpress app to get that working outside of Australia and New Zealand. I know there's a few countries that we do have it allowed for. Do we have a process in place for getting it allowed for additional countries?
Yes. Yes, we are working on that one as well in the background. So at the moment, it is basically it works on the .com.au link into that features area, but we are trying to make that also available for .nz.
Yep. Cool. And then if you're using the soft phone outside of Australia and New Zealand, do just log that with our support team. We do that as a case-by-case basis, purely because for security purposes, things like that. So if you are trying to access the soft phone, you got a customer who someone's working overseas, something like that, let us know. Just log a case with our support team. They'll manage it with our engineering team and escalate it that way. And we can look at that as a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's an added protection for toll fraud that we kind of geofence our infrastructure. So yeah, but we understand that you may need to use it for a period overseas, so we can lock it down to a particular IP address, or we can make that happen.
Exactly. Awesome. So I'll leave the quiz going. I'll leave the feedback poll going as we do this. However, actually, I should be able to. We'll jump into trivia. We've got a little bit of time left. So if you do want to jump into trivia, once again, still via Slido during the quiz, we do have some prizes on the line. So first place gets a $100 Prezi voucher. Second place is a $50 Prezi voucher. So if you haven't received a Prezi voucher in the past, you can transfer them to be a gift card for other online companies, so Amazon, Bunnings, whatever you like from that perspective. So really useful, transfer it to be what you need from that side of things. And then last place is a merch pack. So we'll send you out one of our t-shirts, a water bottle, whatever we can grab and get marketing to provide for us. And we'll send you something out from that side of things. But we'll give people another minute just to jump in, provide and have their opportunity for this one. And we'll see how things go. It's about 20 questions. We should be able to run through it in about, it's probably going to take us about 10 minutes. So we will run a little bit over this month, but it's no problem. If you do need to jump out, we do appreciate having you here. And if you do stick around, perfect, even better. But we'll give people another minute. And all right. First question. Once that comes up, perfect. How many countries are larger than Australia? 3, 5, 4, or 6? So, as I mentioned earlier, we don't run, a lot of these questions are not Access 4 focused or Access 4 themed. So everyone does kind of have a chance. So we'll see how things go. So, lock in voting. 80% went with 3. And the actual answer is 5. So no one got that one. Next question. What is the current sprint of the Access 4 product team? So Dave ran through a lot of sprints earlier. He did mention they're in alphabetical order. So if you can remember that, you may be able to go off that a little bit. But yes, what is our current sprint that we are working on? So most people went for Spider-Man, it looks like, which is correct. Current sprint is Spider-Man.
Good work. A lot of people paying attention. That's good.
Perfect. That's what we want. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see all the answers. Here we go. Next question. The Xenomorph is from what film franchise? Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, Alien, or Star Wars? You were a bit of a
not a Trekkie, not a Star Wars fan, so not sure.
All right. So most people went with Alien, 55%, 36 with Star Trek. The correct answer is Alien. So it's the name of the creature from Alien.
Right.
Bob Ross, famous for his artworks. However, he was he also a US Air Force pilot?
The 50-50.
It's definitely exactly. So 67% said true, which is actually correct. Which is not correct. Sorry, I'm wrong. He was in the military, however. He was not an Air Force pilot. He did have a background in the US Defense Force. However, he was not a pilot.
Trick question.
Yeah. What cricketing term denotes a batsman being dismissed with a score of 0? Bye, beamer, duck, or carry? Much of a cricket fan?
I know this one. This is probably my average score.
It's probably mine too. 100% of people went with duck, which is correct. So the asteroid belt is located between which 2 planets? Jupiter and Saturn, Mercury and Venus, Earth and Mars and Jupiter. So 60% of people went with Mars and Jupiter, which is also correct. What year was Access 4 founded? I know this one, the answer from this one was taken from our website. So if you're fast enough, you can Google it. I'll give you that one. However, I do also know that this one does cause a bit of controversy internally. Some people go with when Tim came up with the idea. Other people went with when it was actually founded as a company. So it depends on who you ask from the founder's perspective. And 2016 with 58%. That is correct. So Access to Text was the first of ongoing online content series. What was our most recent series that we've added to that as well? Was it Access the Execs, Access Success, MSP Land, or Access for Tech Lounge? These have all been webinars that we've hosted throughout the years. Some of them before my time, some of them not. I am very happy that Access the Text is the longest running one though. So that's always something I get to hold up in when we do talk about our webinars and our presentations from that side of things. However, so 15% with MSP Land got it correct. So that is our more sales focused one and business oriented one. So it's mostly recently became a webinar. However, previously it was a YouTube series as well. So there's quite a few of those out there. What did the name of Tor network originally stand for? If you're trying to access the Access 4 network from Tor, it won't work. I will give you that update. However, was it the only router, the Omnis router, the Onion router, or the Orange router? So see everyone. 62% with the Onion router, which is correct. Which of these bands is the oldest? AC/DC, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pink Floyd, or Metallica? I will say that they are all good bands. However, this was one that I did have to actually look up. Yeah, in a second. Ooh,
It was a close one.
AC/DC or Pink Floyd? Let's see what it is. It is Pink Floyd.
Well done.
So halfway through our questions, see where we're at. Phil at 6 out of 10, currently winning by time. So time does come into it. You can see a few other people where they're 1 point behind. A lot of people are 1 point behind or tying. However, time does come into it. So being fast also helps. Next question. What is the same in both Celsius and Fahrenheit? -39, -42, +32, or -40? Oh, it's pretty close between three of them. And the answer is -40. At -40, either way, you are really cold.
Exactly.
What theme is being used via the Access 4 development sprints? Star Wars, Marvel, DC, or World of Warcraft? You would have seen a common theme amongst all the sprints that Dave was running through earlier. What was the theme? One of the other ones up there was our previous sprints, and we went from A to Z through those. However, that was previous. 69% went with Marvel, which is correct. Previously, the old theme was Star Wars. So we already ran through all those. And then when we decided to go with the new one, Marvel was the one that won that. What driver has been the Formula One world champion 7 times? I'm not even going to try and pronounce some of these. However, there is one up there that has won the Formula One championship 7 times. You're a more recent Formula One fan? Probably not. However, 75% did go with Schumacher. So most people would probably only know his name if you don't know a lot of Formula One. However, that is correct. Max has won the previous 3 or 4 world champions. So he is on track to hit that limit as well, or pretty close to it. So we'll see how that goes over the next few years. Windows 7 has operating system has 6 main editions. This is one that if you're more recent to tech, you may not know. I think I joined MSPs, started working in IT about the same time as Windows 7 was about halfway through these editions. So I actually didn't know exactly how many there were either. But 54% said false, 46 said true. It was true. There was 6 main editions of Windows 7. When was UC Xpress launched? July 3rd, August 1st, July 1st, or July 15th? So, bit under 12 months ago, bit over 12 months ago, depending on which one you go with. But when did we launch UC Xpress? %46 went with July 15th. Apparently not many of us were with us back then, but it was July 3rd. It was when we actually launched it. That was the Monday, the first of the new financial year, is when we launched UC Xpress. The movie, The Nightmare Before Christmas, was all done with physical objects. So stop motion back in those days, no special effects, anything like that. True or false? This was one of my favorite movies growing up. 85% said true, which is correct. What was the original name of the search engine Google? Netscape Navigator, Backrub, Search Pro, or Cat Massage? I think they're all terrible names. It's probably best that they did change their name based on those.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Lock in voting. 38% went with Search Pro. Backrub was the real answer, though.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's a very interesting name to try and call a product.
Yeah.
Which Game Boy from the Game Boy series of portable video game consoles was released first? Advanced SP, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Micro, Game Boy Advanced. So the original Game Boy was black and white, and then the sequel is the Game Boy Color, which came out first out of that list there. What is the name of the orange and white bot's name? What is the orange and white bot's name in Star Wars: The Force Awakens? 77% got that correct.
A few Star Wars fans there.
Apparently. And last question. What was the earliest released Access 4 pun shirt? Access Thor, which is not the one I'm wearing at the moment, but I should have. Muppets, voice in order. Is it teams you're looking for? These are all shirts that we've released over the years. Muppets was one of the more recent ones, so was Access Thor. However, out of the other two, Voice in Order was one of our originals. That was one of our first three that we ever released about 2 or 3 years ago at this stage. It's been a while. That was the last question. So the winner of the $100 Prezi voucher is Phil. Priscilla, $50 voucher. And merch pack. I don't have the full list of people who are playing, so I will download that and send it out after this. But thank you everyone for joining us. I'll jump back into here for a second while we close out. So, yep. So $100 Prezi voucher, $50 Prezi voucher, and a merch pack. For I shouldn't say third, it is last. I'm going to speak to our marketing person who put that slide together. Few last little things. We do have our next big update for SaaSboss coming out. It will be out before the next Access the Techs comes out early next month. However, we do have a webinar tomorrow, which is being held. So our head of platform will be hosting that one with a few other people from our organization, talking about what's coming out of the next update for SaaSboss 2.0. So that is being held tomorrow. If you want to register, there's a URL code on the screen there. Would love to have you to that one as well. Otherwise, we will be talking about some of those updates in the next Access to Techs as well. So things that are more technical focused rather than everything, we'll talk about next month. We also have our conference as well. So would love to have, we had quite a few technical people at our conference last year in Port Douglas. Would love to get even more this year to our conference in Queenstown. So ask your managers, ask whoever you need to inside your organization. We'd love to get more people along to that. We do have, as you can see there, our application development and technical directors are both going to be there. So you can speak to them, have sessions with them. Our head of product and our head of platform are both also going to be there. So very technical sessions throughout the 3 days. Our head of product and head of platform are running 2 in-depth Q&A sessions as well. So you can provide your feedback around our platform and products and go in the deep dive with them. So we'll love to have you at those events as well. I went to reach down to this thing to control the slides, except it doesn't do that. So no questions in the chat at the moment. We do appreciate everyone for coming along today. If you do have any questions come up after this or anything like that, please reach out. I'd like to thank Dave for being here today as well. Love getting the feedback and information into and what we've done with UC Xpress.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime.
Awesome. Thank you all. We'll leave it there and we'll get those prizes out to the winners. Thank you.
Thanks all.